My wife was one of the top litigators in the state, with a flawless 5-year record. But when she represented my own company in a liability case, she lost to a legal intern who hadn't even graduated yet. The court ordered us to pay $3 million. The intern, Leo Vance, posted a picture of the judgment on his LinkedIn. A huge thank you to my mentor, Claire Sterling. One day, I hope to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. I left a comment under his post. A hollow victory for a hollow man. A moment later, my phone rang. It was Claire. Delete that comment, Ethan. Now, you're a grown man. Act like you can take a loss. His career is just starting, she said, her voice tight with anger. It can't afford any kind of smear campaign. If you can't get that through your head, then we're done. Fine by me. Let's see who a divorce would really hurt more. What Claire Sterling didn't know was that when I had her sign the settlement agreement for the case, I'd had my assistant slip a divorce petition into the very bottom of the stack. It was the kind of mistake she would never, ever make. But she was distracted. Too much concern for her little protege. I drove to another law firm downtown. The judgment had just been handed down today, which meant I had 15 days to file an appeal. I had to take this chance. I never expected to be turned away from 3 different firms. No one wanted to go up against Claire Sterling. The irony was so thick I could taste it. Just then, my phone buzzed with notifications from the firm's Slack channel. Leo Vance. Hey everyone, I'm Leo Vance. I was a mentee of Claire's at NYU Law, and as of today, I'm officially joining the team. Looking forward to working with you all. She'd actually hired him. Unbelievable. Claire was making it all so brazenly public. Claire Sterling. At Leo Vance, we're honored to have you join us, especially after such a huge win. To celebrate, drinks and dinner are on me tonight. Let's give Leo a warm welcome. Her associates immediately started kissing his ass. Associate 1. The legend himself. Winning a multimillion-dollar case before you even pass the bar? The future is here, folks. Associate 2. We should be asking you to look out for us, Leo. Can't wait to see you in action. Associate 3. Yeah. Leo, you should do a presentation on this case for the new associate training program. They tripped over themselves to praise him, pumping his ego so full he couldn't see straight. It seemed everyone had conveniently forgotten that I, the firm's primary investor and largest shareholder, was still in the channel. As the chatter reached a fever pitch, I left the channel. Out of sight, out of mind. A few minutes later, the firm's CFO called me. Mr. Cole, today's the deadline for the capital injection. The funds haven't hit our account yet. My eyebrow arched. Now that they needed money, they remembered I existed. There's no money, I said flatly. The CFO paused, his tone shifting to one of impatience. Look, I don't care what squabble you and Ms. Sterling are having, but the $3 million capital increase was agreed upon last month. I need you to complete the wire transfer, or I'll have to report this to Ms. Sterling directly. He was threatening me with my own wife. Be my guest, I said, and hung up. He called back several more times. I declined every call. I'd spoiled her rotten, using my money to hand-feed her boy toy a victory, and now I was supposed to keep funding the firm that was celebrating it? In their dreams. Since no local firm would touch the case, I had to make a call to an old contact. She agreed immediately, said she'd be here tomorrow. My mood lifted. I had just hung up when my phone rang again. Thinking it was her, I answered without looking. Ethan Cole. Why did you hang up on the CFO? Where's the money? Don't you know my employees are waiting for their paychecks? It was Claire. I laughed, leaning back in my leather office chair. Claire, why is your payroll my problem? For 3 years, I hadn't seen a dime in dividends, but her firm? It occupied prime real estate in Midtown Manhattan, with rent running into the millions annually. They upgraded their tech every year, always demanding the latest and greatest hardware and software. They had a firewall with the highest security rating, costing hundreds of thousands a year just for maintenance. From this day forward, I was done being their personal ATM. My attitude seemed to set her off. What is this tone? She snapped. Running a business isn't a game, Ethan. Wire the money, and add another $2 million while you're at it. I want to replace the workstations. She took a breath, her voice dripping with condescension. You'd better not be trying to get my attention with these pathetic games. It won't work. It just makes me despise you more. With my reputation, I have no shortage of investors. This entire firm makes you money. Ethan, you don't get to just stop paying the bills. Claire, even investors look for a return on investment. The firm isn't profitable for me, so I'm pulling my funding. What part of that is so hard to understand? She paused, her tone calming slightly. Who says the firm isn't profitable? Then where's my cut? Have I seen a single cent in dividends all these years? Her confidence wavered. We're husband and wife, Ethan. It's all marital property. Why are we talking about yours and mine? I let out a short, sharp laugh, full of scorn. Her voice suddenly rose again. Is this because of the liability case? Are you trying to punish me because I lost? Do you think I feel good about losing? Did it ever occur to you to maybe offer some comfort instead of just thinking about money? She went on, her voice a torrent of self-justification. Your resort failed to perform routine maintenance on its equipment, Ethan. That's why the guest's medical emergency wasn't caught in time. It was your fault to begin with. You're not hurting for a few $1 million. So what's the big deal? And now, she added, as if playing her trump card, I've poached their lawyer. He's with us now. We'll win even more cases, make even more money. Just send the $5 million over now. If we can't make payroll, we'll be a laughingstock. Just as I was about to respond, I heard a man's low voice in the background. Maybe I should talk to him, explain things. You need to eat, Claire. You haven't had anything all day. It's bad for you. I smiled grimly. You should go eat, Ms. Sterling. Wouldn't want you to get an ulcer and try to bill me for the medical expenses. Before she could reply, I hung up and blocked her number. The world went quiet. I drove out of the city, heading for a rustic in upstate to clear my head. My phone buzzed incessantly. One by one, messages flooded in from the firm's employees. Claire had obviously told them all. Their messages were anything but polite. Mr. Cole, we're just working stiffs. When elephants fight, the grass gets trampled. I have a kid at home who needs formula, so you lost a case. Life goes on. A man with your stature acting this petty? I hope you don't go bankrupt. We're all lawyers here. Let's not make this ugly. If you've got a problem, take it up with Leo Vance. Don't take it out on us. One message, from an unknown number, was a direct threat. If you don't wire the money, you can expect a lawsuit. I will sue you until your name is dragged through the mud. I blocked them all one by one. Threaten me? They didn't have the standing. The drive was scenic. I took my time. By the time I arrived at the inn, it was evening. I had just checked in when my assistant called. Mr. Cole, Ms. Sterling just withdrew $1 million from the corporate joint account. She said it was authorized by you. My hand clenched around my phone. What did you say? It's already gone. Yes, sir. I nearly threw the phone against the wall. The audacity of that woman. Forging my name to withdraw funds. I took 2 deep breaths. Lock down everything. All joint accounts, checking, savings, brokerage. Everything. Then call the police. My assistant hesitated. Sir, if the police get involved, this will blow up. There are other partners at the firm. Maybe I can try to contain this first? You could ask Ms. Sterling to return the money. Minimize the fallout. I considered it for a moment, then decided to head back. Just then, a notification popped up on my phone. Leo Vance had posted a new Instagram story. Boss is treating. Celebrating my first time at a 3-Michelin-star restaurant. The video panned across the entire firm. All seated at an opulent table in a restaurant where the tasting menu cost thousands per person. It was obvious whose money they were spending. I floored it all the way back to the city. When I arrived, they were just leaving the restaurant, laughing and talking about where to go for after-dinner drinks. I screeched to a halt just inches from the crowd, scattering them. Several people screamed. Leo recognized my car and stepped in front of it, puffing out his chest. Mr. Cole, are you trying to kill us? Seeing his self-righteous posture, a cruel smirk spread across my face. I revved the engine, stomping on the gas. But with the parking brake engaged, the car only roared. A deafening sound that went nowhere. Leo, Claire shouted, rushing out of the restaurant after paying the bill. The moment she appeared, Leo, who had been fearless just a second ago, suddenly collapsed to his knees in front of the car. He scrambled over to Claire, burying his face in her shoulder. Claire, if you hadn't come out, I think he would have killed me. Claire looked at him with pity, then glared at me, her voice a furious roar. Ethan, are you insane? Do you want me to call the cops and have you arrested? I killed the engine and rolled down the window. Before I could speak, Leo grabbed Claire's hand. Claire, no. Mr. Cole is just upset with me. Don't call the police. It would be bad for his reputation. I let out a cold laugh. my eyes fixed on Leo's perfectly flushed face. The acting's a little off. For this scene, you should be pale. Maybe trembling a little. A few tears wouldn't hurt. I clicked my tongue. This righteous indignation. The tone is all wrong. Leo lowered his head. Silent. Claire, however, couldn't hold back. What is wrong with you, Ethan? You lost one case. Why are you acting like a rabid dog? We're adults. Can't you have a shred of dignity? Who was the one with no dignity? The logic of these two was astounding. I was done wasting my breath. I pulled a freshly printed legal document from my passenger seat and threw it in her face. You're the undefeated Ms. Sterling, right? Surely you won't lose a case where you're the defendant. Oh, that's right, I added, tossing another document out the window before she could even read the first one. I forgot. You already lost to Leo. Maybe you should have him represent you? Oh wait, he can't, because I filed an appeal on that last case. I imagine he'll be a little busy preparing his defense. I sneered, started the car again, and peeled away, because I'd revved the engine so hard. The turn sent a thick cloud of exhaust directly into Leo's face. He doubled over, coughing violently. This time he managed to squeeze out a few real tears. He looked up at Claire, helpless. Claire, what do we do now? Claire's expression was one of pure disdain. She crumpled the two documents into a ball and tossed them into a nearby trash can. In my entire life, she said, her voice dripping with arrogance, I have never lost a case. The lawyer I'd hired arrived the next day. After handing the case over to her, I went back to my office to deal with the financial fallout. Claire, meanwhile, was busy. First, she used her industry influence to warn every major law firm in the city not to take my case. Then, she sent people to my Catskill spa and resort, the scene of the incident, to gather evidence against me. She was focusing all her attention on Leo's case, completely ignoring the little matter of the $1 million she'd taken from our account, which, conveniently, gave me the opening I needed. The lawyer I'd hired, Sophia Reyes, had graduated from the same law school as Claire. Back then, Sophia was known as the Shark. Claire, in her presence, was perpetually second best. Within hours, Sophia found the gaping hole in the resort case. She laid out Claire's scheme for me in meticulous detail. To build up Leo's reputation, Claire first had the plaintiff's family cause a scene at the resort. Then, she manipulated online forums and social media to create a narrative of a greedy corporation versus a suffering victim, backing my company into a corner. But the most critical step was concealing the plaintiff's pre-existing medical condition. My resort has explicit, posted rules stating that guests with hypertension are not to use the hot springs. Claire, to ensure Leo's victory, had used her personal connections to seal the plaintiff's medical records. She colluded with the family, coaching them to never mention his history of high blood pressure. When the court did its due diligence, that crucial piece of information never surfaced. In court, Claire had put on a show of sympathizing with the little guy, offering only a weak, performative defense on my behalf. Of course, the judge ruled against me. After she laid it all out, Sophia let out a deep sigh. Claire's being incredibly foolish. Once this appeal goes through and the truth comes out, her career is over. She'll be disbarred. She looked at me, a question in her eyes. Who is this guy? Anyway, is he really worth her throwing everything away? I froze. I didn't know how to answer. In that moment, faced with the cold, hard truth, I wanted to ask the same thing. What was their relationship? Was it really worth it? I remembered her first day as a junior legal counsel at my company, fresh out of law school. My first impression was of a young woman with an ironclad sense of principle, meticulous, bold, and unfazed by authority, even mine. In her personal life, she was shy and easily embarrassed. I was drawn to that contradiction, and I supported her every step of the way, helping her build the firm she had today. I had seen her fight tooth and nail for her clients. I had seen her passionately defend the letter of the law, but I had never seen her like this, blindly and recklessly protecting someone else at her own, and my expense. Seeing my long silence, Sophia asked suddenly, "Do you want me to win or lose?" I looked at her, stunned, and instantly understood why she'd asked. She thought I still had feelings for Claire. "Win," I said, my voice firm. "Of course, I want you to win." She smiled, her tone lightening. For a second there, your expression had me worried. I'd hate for my first ever loss to be against Claire Sterling. The tension in the room eased. I managed a small, mysterious smile. The main event is about to be delivered. It's a shame I won't be there to see it. My assistant had just picked up the divorce certificate. In 2 hours, it would be on Claire's desk. She had no idea she had already signed the divorce papers. Otherwise, how would she have dared to forge my name and withdraw that money? I couldn't wait to see the look on her face when she finally saw it. I was starting to look forward to our day in court. At her mother's birthday party, the Sterling's Upper East Side brownstone was filled with guests. Claire had brought Leo with her. He was dressed in a sharp new suit, his hair perfectly coiffed as he hovered by her side. To an outsider, he looked more like her husband than I ever did. During a lull in the conversation, Claire's mother pulled her aside. "Catherine," she whispered, "what's Ethan busy with these days? Why didn't he come with you? You too. Everything's all right, isn't it?" The smile on Claire's face flickered for a fraction of a second. She recovered instantly, waving a dismissive hand. "Oh, Mom, don't overthink it. His company is a mess right now, and I'm swamped. We're fine." She deftly changed the subject, nudging Leo forward. "Mom, this is Leo Vance. He's the new star at our firm. Incredibly talented. He just won a huge case for us." Her voice was filled with an undisguised admiration, a mentor's pride. Leo added a few charming words, and the atmosphere quickly returned to its festive mood. At that exact moment, my assistant was driving to her firm. In his hand was a large manila envelope containing the divorce certificate and the finalized property division agreement. Legally, these had to be served to Claire in person today. But the office was empty. My assistant called her cell. No answer. He tried again and discovered he'd been blocked. He had no choice but to call me. "She's not here, Mr. Cole." That's when I remembered. It was her mother's birthday, and my phone hadn't rung once. I let out a scornful laugh and told my assistant, "Then leave it on her desk." Back at the party, Claire was helping her mother cut the cake. Leo stood protectively at her side, politely intercepting guests who tried to offer her another glass of champagne. One of the firm's paralegals found her, whispering in her ear and handing her a document pouch. "A courier from Mr. Cole's office dropped this off. Said you needed to sign for it. He seemed like he was in a hurry, so I signed for him. I was worried it might be important, so I thought I should bring it to you." Claire's face darkened. She figured anything from me right now couldn't be good news. She didn't want to ruin her mother's party. And she definitely didn't want her mother to find out we were on opposing sides of a lawsuit. In her mother's eyes, Claire owed her entire career to me. Mrs. Sterling often said the whole family should be grateful, a lesson Claire had forgotten. She glanced at the plain envelope. Under her mother's questioning gaze, she casually shoved the packet into Leo's hands. She smiled at her mother. "It's nothing, just a supplementary investment agreement." Mrs. Sterling took Claire's hand. "Catherine, Ethan is a good man. For so many years, he's given so much to our family, and he's never missed one of my birthdays. Why don't you call him again? I'll ask him myself." "Mom, he's in a board meeting right now," Claire said quickly. "If you call, you'll just be putting him in an awkward position." Hearing this, her mother finally dropped the subject. Leo quickly stuffed the envelope deep into his briefcase, his mind already returning to the task of charming Claire's family. And Claire Sterling missed the one and only chance she had to know what was coming, and to prepare for it. The day of the appeal finally arrived. Claire sat confidently at the defendant's counsel table, a slightly nervous Leo beside her. She assumed this was just another one of my desperate, sore loser tantrums. However, when my attorney, Sophia Reyes, stood up at the plaintiff's table, the composure on Claire's face finally cracked. She half rose from her seat in shock, only sitting back down after a sharp reminder from the court clerk. Her back was as taut as a drawn bowstring. Leo didn't recognize Sophia at all. He shot a smug look in my direction. I gave him a dismissive glance and looked away. Let him enjoy it. He wouldn't be smiling for long. The judge called the court to order. Sophia stood, her voice clear and powerful, wasting no time on pleasantries. "Regarding the appeal of the Catskills Resort case, my client submits new evidence. First, the plaintiff's medical records were maliciously suppressed. The plaintiff was diagnosed with severe hypertension 3 years prior to the incident. And here, she said, are photos of the resort's clearly posted warnings advising against hot spring use for individuals with hypertension, as well as the liability waiver signed by the plaintiff upon entry." She handed a thick binder of medical records and a copy of the waiver to the clerk. Claire's fingers tightened into fists, her nails digging into her palms. Sophia's gaze turned directly to Claire. "Furthermore, my client has obtained key communication records between Ms. Sterling and the plaintiff's family, both after the incident and prior to the trial. Her actions constitute subornation of perjury, witness tampering, and obstruction of justice. Objection. This is illegally obtained evidence. Claire shrieked, trying to interrupt. Overruled. Counsel for the plaintiff may continue. The judge snapped. Leo's face grew paler with every word Sophia spoke. He reached a trembling hand toward Claire's sleeve, but she was completely oblivious, frantically trying to argue her case before the mountain of evidence. However, her rebuttals were feeble and desperate. The judge denied all of Claire's motions. The gavel fell. Claire had lost. Leo slumped in his chair, his face ashen. He knew his legal career was over before it had even begun. But that was just the appetizer. Sophia's voice rang out again. My client has also filed a separate suit against Ms. Sterling, accusing her of embezzling $1 million from a corporate account. This act was committed after the finalization of their divorce, using the credentials and forged signature of my client. Her actions constitute felony theft and corporate malfeasance. Here are the bank statements, the forged authorization slips, and the forensic report from a handwriting expert confirming the forgery. Claire was stunned. She broke all courtroom protocol, striding toward me. What divorce? What is she talking about? When did we get a divorce? She was losing control. When she saw the evidence in Sophia's hands, she went completely ballistic. Ethan, are you crazy? We are not divorced. That money was for the firm's operating costs. It's our marital property. How dare you sue me? The courtroom erupted in gasps. The bailiffs moved in, restraining her. At that moment, Sophia calmly produced 2 documents from her folder. Ms. Sterling, my client had the divorce certificate delivered to you. Sophia held the evidence up for her to see. One was the official divorce certificate, stamped in red. The other was the very document she hadn't bothered to read. The one tucked at the bottom of the settlement papers. The divorce agreement she had signed with her own hand. Impossible. It's fake. It's all fake. I never signed any divorce agreement. The judge's voice boomed. The defendant will provide evidence to support her claim. Claire looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. Her body racked with violent tremors. She stared at the date on the divorce certificate. It was the day of her mother's birthday. Suddenly, she understood what my assistant had delivered. If she had only opened that envelope, she wouldn't have been caught so completely off guard. She had, with her own hands, walked directly into the trap. Having sabotaged her own case, Claire finally snapped. Ethan Cole, you snake. You set me up. You can go to hell, she screamed, lunging toward the gallery where I sat. Her makeup was smeared with tears, her face a mask of rage. There was no trace of the elite lawyer she once was. The bailiffs quickly tackled her, pinning her to the ground as the courtroom descended into chaos. Amidst Claire's desperate shrieks and the sharp, repeated crack of the judge's gavel, her fate was sealed. She was supposed to be the best. Now no one would ever hire her again. Her career, her reputation, her pride, everything was gone. The video of Claire's courtroom meltdown went viral. The headline on the news clip was brutal. Undefeated lawyer's empire crumbles. Sabotaged husband's case for lover. Loses $3 million. Public meltdown after shock divorce revealed in court. The footage showed a disheveled, wild-eyed Claire screaming. A stark contrast to the calm, professional image she had meticulously crafted for years. Public opinion turned on a dime. Within 2 hours, she was trending on Twitter. Hordes of angry users flooded the law firm's official accounts, as well as Claire and Leo's personal social media. Leo's triumphant LinkedIn post was unearthed and mercilessly mocked. The internet detectives pieced the whole story together. The reputations of both Claire and Leo were incinerated. Soon, more insiders began to surface. They leaked evidence of Claire coaching the plaintiff's family and paying them hush money. They exposed how she had pushed to hire the unqualified Leo, giving him a salary and title far beyond his experience. They dug up candid photos from the celebratory dinner, including the one of Leo crying on her shoulder. Someone even posted a picture from her mother's birthday, where Leo looked for all the world like the new son-in-law. The internet exploded. My God, I actually felt sorry for her. Thought she was just stressed. Turns out she's a venomous snake. Adultery, embezzlement, perjury, obstruction of justice. This woman is a one-stop crime shop. Terrifying. So Leo the gigolo slept his way to the top and now he's shocked it blew up in his face? Serves him right, his license is getting revoked. Poor Mr. Cole. Stabbed in the back by the person closest to him. I hope he sues her for everything she's worth. How is this firm still in business? Shut it down. Who would hire these criminals? The firm's website was buried under an avalanche of furious comments. Their phone lines were jammed. Reporters and gawkers camped outside their office building. Morale inside collapsed. Several senior partners publicly resigned, issuing statements to distance themselves from the scandal. The once revered law firm became an industry pariah and a public laughingstock overnight. Claire and Leo went into hiding, too afraid to show their faces. When I heard all this, I took a slow sip of my coffee. Public opinion. It was a powerful weapon, a comfort to whoever was wielding it. Only someone who has been on the receiving end of an online mob knows how vicious it can be. This time, it was Claire's turn to get a taste. Claire replayed the events in her mind, a bitter resentment churning in her gut. She convinced herself that I was only acting out because of Leo. Putting herself in my shoes, she reasoned, she might have reacted even more strongly. So she started calling me incessantly. She began showing up at my office building, trying to corner me in the lobby. Finally fed up, I had security post her photo on every floor with a single, stark caption printed in red. Claire Sterling and dogs not permitted. A photo of the sign inevitably made its way online, giving Claire another round of viral infamy. When she couldn't get to me, she went to find Leo, intending to drag him along for a grand gesture of atonement. She forced her way into the dingy motel room he was renting. The air was thick with the stench of stale beer, cigarettes, and instant ramen. Leo was sprawled on the couch, unshaven, his hair greasy, his clothes rumpled. Empty beer cans littered the floor. When he saw the haggard, wild-eyed Claire, his expression held none of its former admiration, only a deep, seething resentment. "What are you doing here?" he spat. "Come to laugh at me? Thanks to you, I have nothing. My license is gone. My reputation is destroyed. I lost my job, and I can't even go home. Everyone calls me a pathetic parasite who sleeps with his boss. None of this would have happened if you hadn't pulled your little schemes." His voice was a raw, furious rasp. "My fault," Claire shrieked, her voice cracking. "Leo, search your conscience. Without me, would you have ever gotten into a top-tier firm? Would you have ever landed a case like that? Would you have become famous online? Without me paying to clean up your messes? Do you have any idea how much trouble you'd be in? Now that things have gone south, you're pinning it all on me? Who the hell do you think you are?" Fueled by alcohol and rage, Leo abandoned all pretense. He jabbed a finger in her face. "You old hag. Did you really think I liked you? If you weren't rich and powerful, if you weren't useful, I wouldn't have given you the time of day. And look at you now. You're disgraced, broke, and you dragged me down to hell with you. Get out. Get the hell out of my sight." His words hit Claire like a physical blow, shattering the last of her sanity. All the pent-up humiliation, bitterness, fear, and the blinding rage of being used and discarded erupted at once. "I'll show you useful," she screamed. "I'll show you who you're talking to." Without a moment's hesitation, she snatched a steak knife from a dirty plate on the coffee table. Before Leo could even react, she lunged, plunging the blade with all her strength into his side. He never thought she'd actually do it. A gut-wrenching, inhuman scream tore through the room. The knife was buried deep in his right flank. Warm blood gushed out, staining his shirt, the sofa, and the filthy floor. Leo collapsed, his body convulsing in agony. His face turned a ghastly white as he struggled to breathe. Claire stood frozen, the bloody knife still in her hand. She stared at the gruesome scene, at her own blood-soaked hands, as if her soul had been ripped from her body. The knife clattered from her grasp, falling into the spreading pool of blood. Then, she picked up her phone and dialed 911. When the police broke down the door, they found Leo in shock and rushed him to the hospital. They arrested Claire on the spot, combined with my pending charges for embezzlement and fraud, and the professional misconduct charges for witness tampering. She was facing a long time behind bars. Leo survived, but he lost a kidney. Unable to pay his mounting medical bills, he was discharged prematurely. A cascade of post-op complications left him permanently disabled. A broken man. With the resort's name cleared, business was back on track. To celebrate, I invited Sofia Reyes to dinner. Over the meal, I slid a formal offer letter across the table, inviting her to become my company's chief legal counsel. Her efficiency, her professionalism, and her strict adherence to ethical boundaries had left a deep impression on me. Sophia opened the letter. Her eyebrows rose slightly when she saw the salary. "Mr. Cole, this is quite generous. Even for Chicago, This is nearly double the industry standard for an in-house position. I paused, my steak knife hovering over my plate. You're worth it. She chuckled softly. If you're truly sincere, Mr. Cole, then you'll follow standard practice. I'll accept the position, but not the inflated salary. Rescind the offer, and we can negotiate a proper one. I raised my glass to hers. You have my sincerest thanks, I said. But you're right. My gratitude shouldn't cloud my professional judgment. I smiled. I'll have a new offer drawn up. I hope you won't refuse it then. We'll see, she said, the corner of her mouth twitching into a smile. With everything settled, Sophia soon packed her bags and returned to her life in Chicago. After she left, I started finding excuses to get in touch. Sometimes it was a question about mitigating future legal risks for the company. Other times it was a point of law I claimed to need her perspective on. Sophia's replies were always sharp, insightful, and tinged with a dry wit. We both knew what was happening, but neither of us acknowledged it. 3 months later, I had a business trip scheduled to Chicago. Before I left, my assistant came to my office. Sir, I took the liberty of sending your itinerary to Ms. Reyes. My heart skipped a beat. I wanted to reprimand him for his audacity, but I couldn't deny the spark of hope it ignited. The flight landed on time. I walked out of the jet bridge, my mind a mix of apprehension and excitement. The autumn sun streamed through the massive windows of O'Hare's terminal, bathing the polished floors in light. As if drawn by an invisible string, my eyes found her. Standing near the edge of the waiting crowd was a familiar figure. Sophia was wearing a chic, charcoal gray trench coat, her posture poised and calm. She stood there quietly, her steady gaze scanning the faces emerging from the arrival's gate. When our eyes met, the corner of her lips curved into a subtle smile. She pushed off from the wall and walked directly toward me. Mr. Cole, she said, her voice even. Smooth flight. No small talk, no awkward pleasantries. It was as if I was just in town for a meeting, and she just happened to have time to pick me up. I looked at her, mirroring her faint smile. Yeah, it was. We fell into step, walking together through the bustling terminal toward the exit. The afternoon sun cast our long shadows on the bright floor ahead. The crisp Chicago air that greeted us outside felt charged with a new energy, much like the steady, insistent pounding of my own heart.